Well, let's talk now to Vicky Pryce, the international economist. Welcome back to the programme, Vicky. Good to see you. Was this contraction that we saw in the UK economy all down to strike action and the rain?
I think probably a very significant part of it was due to that, but we do know that the consumer nevertheless is being squeezed. Of course, when the weather is nice, as it has been in August, we might actually see a little bit of a recovery of that. That type of spending in entertainment and hospitality, and we're already seeing the hospitality sector saying things have looked rather good in August, so let's keep our fingers crossed. But yes, I think there is a continuation of the concerns that loads of days are being lost to strikes. And of course, when the weather is appalling, then people don't go out. But it was a reversal, of course, of what we saw in June. But remember, this is the beginning of the third quarter data. So July, August, September. So with July beginning to be so bad, the concerns are that perhaps we are entering finally a period of recession. So we might actually see GDP this quarter be negative. Not everyone agrees with that. The government is saying that the 3 months to July anyway, there was growth of 0.2%. But I think everyone is beginning to worry about stagflation right now. We still have relatively high inflation and very little growth.
Well, as you say, despite this July figure, the ONS mentioned a more positive, broader picture for the UK. So what are they basing that on?
Well, first of all, of course, inflation is beginning to come down. There have been some business surveys that are suggesting that perhaps confidence is improving because of that inflation picture looking better. What we've also seen is that perhaps some of the supply chain issues have also been eased. So maybe when you look at grocery inflation, which has been very, very high in the UK, we might see that beginning to come down. And of course, in many ways, you've had the government calling all the supermarkets in and saying, can you do something about your prices being so high? Because the ones in the UK are considerably higher than what we're seeing elsewhere in terms of the rate of inflation in food. So there is a bit of normalization coming, but the real question is, I think, for many businesses, is the interest rate cycle that we're seeing right now, and for households, coming to a peak? So are we going to see perhaps interest rates beginning to come down at some point soon? And perhaps if inflation does indeed slow down, then we might see that too. But unfortunately, I need to add quickly that we are going to have an interest rate decision next week, and most people are expecting that in the UK, and like in the US, we will still see a quarter of a point increase.
So how does the UK fit in to the European picture? We've seen the UK Chancellor expressing confidence in the UK's economic future and its potential to outperform other European economies. What do you think?
I think it's probably true on balance because, of course, Europe has been hit quite badly by the problems they have had accessing gas from Russia, of course, or rather the dependence on Russian gas and oil up to a point. That, of course, has all come to an end. And we've seen Germany in particular being very negatively affected. They've had to reduce production quite significantly. Reliance on energy from those sources has come down. They've reduced actually energy consumption, which is quite extraordinary. So the whole of Europe has seen its own GDP figures for the previous quarter revised downwards. There's still a little bit of growth, but not very much, just 0.1%. And that's a problem, particularly in the Eurozone, which is an issue. And Germany, of course, is in almost contraction territory. So if Germany is not doing well, the rest of Europe isn't doing well. Now, the question is how long that will last and whether with inflation also in Europe, well, stabilizing. It's not falling as fast as it has done in the last few months, but certainly stabilizing. What we may see is perhaps some confidence improving again. But unfortunately, we're getting near to the winter months. And depending on how bad the winter might be, things may turn the other way.
Vicky, great to get your thoughts today. Thank you, as always, for joining us. And that's the international economist, Vicky Pryce.